述而篇一。子曰：述而不作，信而好古，窃比于我老朋。The master said, I have transmitted what was taught to me without making up anything of my own. I have been faithful to and fond of Asian culture. I will compare myself to old Peng, who was fond of talking about the good old days. 述而篇二。子曰：默而志之，学而不厌，诲人不倦，何有于我哉？ The master said, To learn things by heart in silence, to retain curiosity despite much study, never to weary of teaching others. To which of those can I make any claim? 述而篇三。子曰：得之不修，学之不讲，文艺不能图，不善不能改，是无忧也。The master said, Not to improve moral character, not to review all that one has learned, not to approach what is righteous, though knowing where it is, not to rectify one's faults. These are what I am concerned about. 述而篇四。子之焉居，深深如也，夭夭如也。When the master was at home and unoccupied, he was neatly dressed, feeling relaxed and looking cheerful. 述而篇五。子曰：甚矣吾衰也，久矣吾不复梦见周公。The master said, How I have aged! It is a long time indeed since I saw Duke Zhou in my dreams. 述而篇六。子曰：至于道，据于德，依于仁，游于义。The master said, Set your heart upon righteousness, support yourself by virtue, lean upon benevolence, seek enjoyment and relaxation in the six arts. 述而篇七。子曰：自行数修以上，吾未尝无会焉。The master said, I never refuse to teach those who could bring me only a bundle of dried meat. 述而篇八。子曰：不愤不启，不悱不发，举一隅不以三隅反，则不复也。The master said, Only when someone bursts with eagerness for learning do I instruct. Only when someone bubbles to speak but fails to express himself do I enlighten. If I show one corner of a subject and he cannot deduce the other three by himself, I do not continue the lesson. 述而篇九。子食于有桑者之侧，未尝饱也。子于是日哭，则不歌。If at a meal the master found himself seated next to someone who was in mourning, he never ate his fill. When the master had wailed at the funeral, during the rest of the day he did not sing. 述而篇十。子谓颜渊曰：用之则行，舍之则藏，唯我与尔有是夫。子路曰：子行三军，则谁与？子曰：抱虎逢河，死而无悔者，无不与也。必也临事而惧，好谋而成者也。The master said to Yan Hui, When wanted, then go. When set aside, then hide. Only you and I can attain to this. Zi Lu then asked, If you were in charge of the army, whom would you take with you? The master said, I would not take along one who was ready to bear a tiger or rush a river without caring whether he lived or died. I should certainly take someone who approached difficulties with caution and who preferred to succeed by strategy. 述而篇十一。子曰：富而可求也，虽执鞭之事，无以为之。如不可求，从无所好。The master said, I would adopt any means of obtaining wealth legally, even if it means being a doorkeeper in a market. But if it is a question of illegitimate means, I shall continue to pursue what I love. 述而篇十二。子之所慎，斋、战、疾。The master was cautious in regard to three things: fasting, war, and illness. 述而篇十三。子在其文，韶。3月不知肉味，曰：不图惟乐致之于斯也。When he was in the Qi state, the master heard Shao music, and for a long period he did not know the taste of meat. He said, I never thought that I could be lost in that music to such an extent. 述而篇14。冉有曰：夫子谓魏君乎？子贡曰：诺，吾将问之。入曰：伯夷叔齐何人也？曰：古之贤人也。曰：怨乎？曰：求人而得人，又何怨？出曰：夫子不畏也。冉yu said, Is our master on the side of the prince of Wei? Zi Gong said, Oh, I will ask him about that. He went in and said, What sort of people were Bo Yi and Shu Qi? The master said, They were ancient sages. Zi Gong said, Did they regret their actions? The master said, They sought benevolence and attained it. Why should they have had regrets? Zi Gong had come out and said, Our master is not on his side. 述而篇15。子曰：饭疏食饮水，取功而枕之，乐亦在其中矣。不义而富且贵，于我如浮云。The master said, With coarse food to eat, cold water to drink, and the bent arm as a pillow, happiness may still exist. Rank and wealth obtained by unrighteousness seem to me as insubstantial as floating clouds. 述而篇16。子曰：加我数年，50以学艺，可以无大过矣。The master said, Give me a few more years, and by 50 I shall have studied the book of changes. Then I may become fairly free from errors. 述而篇17。子所雅言，诗、书、直、礼，皆雅言也。The master used the standard language when reading the book of poetry or the book of history, and when practicing ritual acts. 述而篇18。社公问孔子于子路，子路不对。子曰：女奚不曰，其为人也，发愤忘食，乐以忘忧，不知老之将至云耳。Duke She asked about Confucius. Zi Lu made no reply. The master said to him afterwards, Why didn't you say, He is a man whose zeal for work is such that he forgets to eat, whose happiness in his pursuit of knowledge is so great that he forgets his trouble and does not perceive old age stealing upon him. 述而篇19。子曰：我非生而知之者，好古，民以求之者也。The master said, I wasn't born with innate knowledge. I'm simply a man who loves ancient culture and is diligent in seeking it. 述而篇20。子不语怪，力，乱，神。The master never talked of prodigies, feats of strength, disorders, or spirits. 述而篇21。子曰：三人行，必有我师焉。择其善者而从之，其不善者而改之。The master said, When several men are walking together, I am sure there is one I can learn from. I select his merits to follow, and his dismerits for reference to correct my own. 述而篇22。子曰：天生得于予，还颓其如予何？ The master said, Heaven begot moral force in me. What can 还颓 do to me? 述而篇23。子曰：二三子以我为隐乎？吾无隐乎耳。吾无行而不与二三子者，是丘也。The master said, My disciples, do you think that I have any secrets? I have no secrets from you. It is my way to do nothing without communicating it to you, and this is what I am. 述而篇24。子以四教：文、行、忠、信。The master took 4 subjects for his teaching: cultural knowledge, conduct of affairs, loyalty to superiors, and the keeping of promises. 述而篇25。子曰：圣人，无不得而见之矣。得见君子者，斯可矣。子曰：善人，无不得而见之矣。得见有恒者，斯可矣。亡而为有，虚而为盈，约而为泰，难乎有恒矣。The master said, I cannot hope to meet a sage. The most I can hope for is to meet a true gentleman. I can now hope to meet a faultless man. The most I can hope for is to meet a man of constancy. But when someone pretends to possess something which he lacks, when knowing nothing, he claims omniscience. When being petty, he claims to be great. He does not possess constancy. 述而篇26，子钓而不刚，亦不涉宿。The master finished with a hook, but not with a net. He did not shoot his arrow at a roosting bird. 述而篇27，子曰：盖有不知而作之者，我无是也。多闻则其善者而从之，多见而识之，知之次也。The master said, There may well be those who can do without knowledge, but I am certainly not one of them. To hear much, to pick out what is good and follow it, to see much and remember it, the knowledge gained this way is second only to that innate in man. 述而篇28，互相难与言。童子见，门人惑。子曰：与其进也，不与其退也，为何甚？人杰即以进，与其节也，不保其亡也。It was hard to talk with people from a Hu village, so when the lad came and sought an interview with Confucius, the disciples were puzzled. But the master said, I approve his progress, and I disapprove his retrogress. We must not be too particular. If anyone has purified himself in order to come to us, let us accept his purification. We should not think of his past too much. 述而篇29，子曰：人远乎哉？我欲人，斯人至矣。The master said, Is benevolence indeed so far away? If we really want it, we will find it right at our side. 述而篇30，陈思败问：昭公知礼乎？孔子曰：知礼。孔子退，依乌马期而进之，曰：吾闻君子不党，君子亦党乎？君取于吾为同姓，谓之吾孟子。君而知礼，孰不知礼？乌马期以告。子曰：丘也幸，苟有过，人必知之。An official from the Chen state asked whether Duke Zhao of the Lu state knew the rules of propriety. The master said, Yes, he does. After the master had left, the official motioned Wu Ma-qi to come forward and said, I have heard that a gentleman is never partial, but it seems that some gentlemen are very partial indeed. Duke Zhao took a woman of Wu as wife, and since she had the same clan name with himself, he called her Wu Mengzi to conceal the fact. Now, if as a prince, he is considered to know the rights, then who does not know rights? When Wu Ma-qi told this to the master, the latter said, I am so lucky. If by chance I make a mistake, people are sure to know it. 述而篇31，子与人歌而善，必使反之，而后和之。When in the master's presence, anyone sang a song that he liked, he would ask for it to be repeated and then join it. 述而篇32，子曰：文莫无尤人也，公行君子，则无谓之有德。The master said, As far as cultural knowledge is concerned, I do not think I compare badly with other people, but as regards carrying out the duties of a gentleman in actual life, I haven't done well yet. 述而篇33，子曰：若胜于人，则无其感；亦为之不厌，诲人不倦，则可谓云而已矣。公西华曰：正为弟子不能学也。The master said, I make no claim to be a sage or to be a virtuous man, but it can be said of me that I have made tireless effort to learn an unflagging patience in teaching others. Upon this, Gong Xihua said, This is what we disciples are not able to learn. 述而篇34，子疾病，子路倾倒。子曰：有诸？子路对曰： 有之。累曰：导而于上，下神奇。子曰：秋之蹈久矣。When the master was ill, Zilu asked to pray for him. The master said, Is there such a thing? Zilu answered, There is. The prayer says, Pray to the spirits in heaven above and on earth below. The master said, My prayer has been in progress for a long time indeed. 述而篇35。子曰：奢则不逊，俭则固。与其不逊也，宁固。The master said, Just as lavishness leads easily to arrogance, so does frugality to meanness. Of the two, I prefer the latter. 述而篇36。子曰：君子坦荡荡，小人长戚戚。The master said, A true gentleman is calm and at ease. A petty man is always worried and full of distress. 述而篇37。子温而立，威而不猛，恭而安。The master's manner was affable yet firm, commanding but not harsh, grave but easygoing.